mic on. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how you doing, Lucretia?
They hit me in the heart and my soul each and every day. When you've done a show for 6 solid years straight, almost every
Hmm.
single day, and people have been here praying for you. You there praying for them, and I don't call them people followers because that don't make sense to me. We are followers of Christ. I call them my family. And so when I see, because they was my family, when my family turned their backs on me being just a Republican, a conservative, a black chick with a loud mouth that stands up for God, family, country, and Trump, these people are my family.
I
So
think that's powerful. What you said, and I'm sorry to hear about Miss Penny and the others. And I think you praying for them. I mean, what are we doing in politics to improve our communities if we don't think about the core of the reason why we do it, which is the people and the families and the people that care about us. So, I mean,
we'll be
just
back in the
your intro
80s.
in the show there is really the core of what we're supposed to be doing.
We will be back in the 80s. I'm
Hmm.
listen. I was my golden age is the 80s and 90s and 2000s. There was no racism. I lived in Gainesville, Georgia. Hispanics, whites, blacks, we all had BMX bandit bikes or we had our own clubs and we was latchkey kids and we hung around every generation, every walk of life, every nationality, and there was no division back then. So how do we come all the way to let's get real. Since Barack Obama, how did we allow racism to run rampant again back in America?
It's sad. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're all people and we're all just trying to live our lives and love our families and where we live and the people around us. And I think ultimately, no matter who you are, I think that our goals in life are very similar. You know, where there's a lot more that is that makes us alike than different. You know.
Why do you think? Let's be honest. Why do you think the powers that be, neocons, the globalists, why they want to destroy us? Why they want to divide us and not actually make us the United States of
Mhm.
America?
Well, I mean, I love that you're asking that question because I mean, I think that it's really because when people are divided, they're easier to control. If I'm just really being honest with you, I mean, when people come together and they believe together in things, they're a lot more powerful. I mean, you look at things like grassroots movements. I mean, that's groupings of individuals. I mean, that's what it's about is the individual people that come together in mass, and that's powerful. I think that scares a lot of elites and powerful people. It's a lot easier to control people if you just divide them or you keep them at war with each other all the time, you know? I mean, if we're fighting amongst each other, we can't be fighting for values and right things.
And see, when I'm thinking about this, because I've been in politics for over 15 years, but I was part of the Madison Forum, the Tea Party, the John Birchers, and then I became a Republican. I learned about the 45 Rules of Communist Goals, and I learned about Agenda 21 and Agenda 30. And it just seems like even our elected officials don't want us to be the United States. They want us to be a globalist number in a larger system. And I know a lot of people want to call that conspiracy theories, but I truly believe we was one vote away from one world religion, one world currency, and one world leader. And I truly believe if Kamala Harris would have won, we was almost there.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, the Bible says that He puts leaders in place, and you know we have to pray for our leaders and pray for other people and where we want these our country to go. And I think that you know God is ultimately in control of those things, and I think that the outcome of the election is the way it was needing to be because, like you say, if it was any other way, I mean, where will we end up being? You know?
Okay, now Rick, give everybody because I know a little bit about your background, but nobody else
Oh,
does. Give everybody a little bit about your background and what because it's not because you're a man that gives you that authority because God has already given that to you. The authority is God, man, woman, and child. But tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
oh, well, sure. So, I am recently elected as the Paulding County Republican Party chairman.
Oh,
And
wait. I'm supposed to make an announcement. Announcement. Because today, VFAF is no longer going to be in Cobb County because of Rick and his upstanding ways and the man of who he is. We are now going to be headquartered in Paulding County. So I was close. It ain't like it's Loganville. So go ahead.
yeah, I think that's wonderful. I mean, here's the thing about Paulding County. I mean, we're a growing county, and statistically speaking, we should be Democrat. If you just didn't know anything about who we are, and you're just looking at population alone, because we know that more populated counties tend to go Democrat. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing that Paulding County isn't just Republican, we're strongly Republican. And I think people see that. They see the force that's there. My predecessor, Jim Tolley, was chairman of our GOP here for the longest time. I think he did great work in building the party and keeping this a strong Republican county. So there's so many organizations that have already reached out to me and want to be a part of the county. Young Republicans would like to come here and start a chapter. Yes. I know you interviewed my vice chair, Emery Roy, a few weeks ago, and she won that election. I don't remember if she was interviewing you before it or not, but she won it. And she works with the Young Republicans a lot and Turning Point Action. And these are all groups that want to come here and be a part of this with us because together, I think, these organizations, these conservative organizations with the GOP are stronger when we are able to work together.
What are you going to, what I see you doing, and with mm-hmm. Emery and everyone else, you see how the blue is taking over and kind of mm-hmm. taking a squeeze in Georgia. I mm-hmm. see you actually pushing the red further out. I truly believe that.
That's the goal. That is the goal. I mean, let me give you a little bit of background on me here, because I think it will kind of tell you a little bit about why I believe what I believe. I spent the majority of my life not being the best citizen. I was uninformed. I didn't know what was going on. I think that's the majority of Americans, if I'm just being honest. My family's not into politics or government. I'm just an average Joe guy. Up until a year and a half ago, Election day for me was I got to get off work early and I might stop by and vote. And when I did, I didn't know who was on the ballot. I didn't know what half those jobs were. Well, it wasn't until I took a family vacation to Washington, D.C. about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I thought I was just going to go there and enjoy the museums and that sort of thing. And it wasn't until I was walking through the Capitol that I realized this is a real thing. There's real people doing real work. And in my mind, I just always thought all politicians are corrupt. My vote doesn't really matter. It just is what it is. I can't control or do anything to change anything. And it's so easy to believe that when you just see it on news, on TV. But when you're there and you see it and you feel it and you know that people are doing work and that you as an individual can make a change. So I come back and I immediately just started going to city council meetings, county commissioner meetings, the state capitol. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to get involved. I just started going to things. And it wasn't until my mom gave me a book about getting into politics and government that it said, join your local party. So I looked up and I thought, I think Republicans is just a national thing, right? No, they have county parties. So I started going to the Paulding County Republican meetings and getting involved, getting on campaigns, helping people, finding that there's citizens out there that need help, that don't know how to reach out to their elected officials and helping them. And I think that helps grow the party because they see when Republicans are there to help them and express their voice, then they want to become Republicans too, you know? So when I say that I want to grow the party and see people become informed and engaged with what's going on, I truly mean it, because I feel like most people are like me, that they don't believe that they can do things, but they can. I mean, a year and a half ago, I was nobody. And I would not have been able to tell you that today I would be chairman of the county party and probably one of the reddest counties in Georgia.
Now, why do you think that you're bringing all these different groups under your tutelage?
Well, so I think that it's important to see people like veterans, youth, young people come in. And I've even seen since Trump's election that we swung, it's like 14, 15 points right with the youth this time around. There's a lot of young people that really want to get involved. And that's a core of what we want to do and we want to bring in there. And when I started getting involved, because I didn't want people to be uninformed like I had been for so long, I even started a Facebook group called the Paulding Informer. And I just started out by posting the schedule that I was taking, going to meetings and stuff that I knew was there, and posting the agendas and then posting the videos of them. And then I started posting about what happened there, what the decisions were. And I realized there's a lot of people that, like me, are uninformed but want to be informed. And it doesn't matter what your age is, what your race is, what your background is. People want to be informed about what's going on. And I think that they see that that's something I champion. And that's what I want the Paulding County Republican Party to also champion going forward, is bringing information to the people, informing them and encouraging them that they can get involved and engaged and make a difference. And I think that's something that universally speaks to everybody.
So I got to ask you this, because you came out of left field. So when you coming out of left field and you join the Republican Party, what pushback you got? You got pushback. You didn't wait your turn. You did not wait your turn.
You know, there's always going to be some of people that are more establishment that don't believe that, you know, new people should be able to join. But I'll tell you, I'm a scientist and I try to think about things logically. And logically, if you don't want to bring people in, then you will be stagnant and you will stay there.
Yep.
But when you want to bring people in, like myself, and you want them to be a part and you want them to be engaged, that is where true growth comes from. And, you know, I would say that the majority of people actually want new people to come in. I mean, some people say that, you know, the old crowd doesn't want young people running things. And we've even seen, and I follow a lot of the 14th district stuff up here, so many young Republicans and young people that have taken leadership positions in the party, more than what I'm told has ever happened before. And, you know,
it's only because Turning Point, Charlie Kirk.
Right, exactly.
You know what? They're not welcome. And a lot of county, I'm just being honest, Rick, these young folks, the Emerys, you know, the Coopers and all the rest of them, they go to a lot of Jaquan, Stanbridge. They go to a lot of places in Georgia, and they're not welcome because the older crowd feel like they need to get a little bit more experience under their belt. But the political party is like a church. If you ain't got babies crying in the congregation, sooner or later it's going to die out.
That's so true. But you know what? There is hope there, because I'll say that there were so many people in even our county party that were older that were highly encouraging of me and Emery and saying we need young people here. I mean, there's going to always be people that say, no, you don't have enough experience. You're too new. I've been in it for X number of years. You don't have any experience. And I will say, yeah, I'm pretty new to it. I'm learning as I go too. But there were so many people, even older people, that were like, we got to do something. Because, I mean, for the longest time, the Democrats have really tapped into college students and the youth. And here we are, we're now saying, well, we can do this too. And I think there's a lot of people that believe that as well. There'll always be a challenge, but, you know, I like to believe that we have a lot of support, and, you know,
Here's
that
for
helps.
you. I have never, ever learned, since I've been a Republican, and I learned a lot with the other groups, I've never learned the procedures and the platform until I looked at it for myself. Most Republicans don't even know their own platform. Another thing I did not learn in being a Republican is the Georgia State Constitution.
Yeah.
No one teaches that in any Republican meetings, and no one ever holds this up or even tell us our rights. Can you please bring that back? Because if we're supposed to train them on the way they should go, then we got to start at the basics. So they quit shouting that we're a democracy. We may vote like a democracy, but the mob don't rule. We are a constitutional republic. And now even the Republican sides and a lot of people are shouting we are a democracy. And we truly are not.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is a lot of people don't realize there's a Georgia Constitution. A lot of people don't realize there's actually, they know the Pledge of Allegiance, but there's actually a Pledge of Allegiance to the Georgia flag, too. I've only ever seen it said a couple times at some various meetings. You don't see it that often. But, yeah, there's a lot out there that people are unaware of. I think a lot of people believe that they're Republican, and they are. But maybe because their parents were and they've always been told that, or they think it's just about lower taxes or whatnot. But, yeah, I mean, there's a whole platform to that. And people don't know that. People aren't even aware of how those platforms come about.
Well, it's the same thing as a Democrat. I'm black. You're supposed to vote Democrat. Well, I did majority of my life until I was in my 20s. And then when I really wanted to go run in office, they said, you got to wait your turn. It ain't your turn yet. And I got turned off. And then I really started looking at both sides of that bird. Yeah, I'm more on the right and always have been all my life, but no one tells us any of this stuff, not in high school, not in college, not in middle school or elementary school. And I think they need to be brought back to the foundation because I keep saying at least Republicans still got God in their platform. But if people don't know what our platform is, sooner or later, they're going to be booing Jesus too.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right about that. And there's a need for people to understand the Republican platform, to understand what's happening in their community and around them. It's funny, when I was out there campaigning for some people, I ran across a lot of people that said, I'm only looking forward to voting for Trump, and that's it. And that's important. But they don't realize that what happens locally affects them every day. You know, so, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a message and education that needs to happen all the time. And that's, in fact, I'm going to be having our first executive board meeting today with our committee. And we're going to talk about what we would like to see at our monthly GOP meetings moving forward. And a major portion of that is going to be educating them about what's going on, bringing in guest speakers that can answer questions and that sort of thing.
Also, Stan just said, well, he made sure I knew. He told me 5 times already. You was endorsed by the Veterans for America First.
I was. They're my first and I think only endorsement. I mean, it's a pretty short campaign really to get there, but I was so glad when they reached out to me. It was it wasn't something I even expected, to be honest with you. I was stunned when I got that news, and I couldn't wait to do my acceptance video. And I appreciate that organization and any organization that supports veterans. I mean, I told a veteran at the grocery store the other day, I thanked him, and maybe he doesn't get it enough because he was like, for what? And I said, well, for freedom.
My husband wants you to come to our rally next weekend. Can you come?
Next weekend? I'll have to check the calendar, but
it's on the 12th.
I mean,
it's on the 12th. It is a free concert. We have Pastor Jerome Davidson. He's a former NFL player coming in Arizona. We have Danny Triplin coming in from Seattle, Washington. We got so many people coming from all over the nation. Of course, Stan is going to be here.
Good.
Do you want to talk to the man, Dave? You done sent me 3 pieces. You and Stan need to stop. Go ahead, Dave.
It's at our house. We have property.
He wants you to come.
She's a better speaker than I am.
We got 3 bands, a musician, acts, whatever you want to call them. Antonio Jones. We have everybody. It's going to be a hootenanny of a time, and it's a celebration for veterans and first responders. And of course, one more thing. On the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th, downtown Atlanta at the World Congress Center is the NRA National Convention of 2025. You got to stop by my booth. You got to allow me and Dave to actually interview you on the floor of the NRA.
Oh, well, that would be really cool. Yeah. We'll talk after the show, maybe lock down some dates on that. But, yeah, I mean, that sounds great. I would love to do that.
All right, Stan, is there anything else you wanted me to ask him before you give me another piece of paper? Go ahead, Rick, because Stan watching right now.
What was Stan wanting me to do?
He was like, he wanted me to say all of this stuff. So, he's been sending me messages through my husband.
That's so funny.
So with Paulding, and it's not Spalding, it's Paulding County. You're still over there where the Democrats want to take complete control and also bring in a lot of nonpartisan races. You know what nonpartisan is, right? That is Democrats trying to infiltrate inside the Republican Party. We can't allow that inside of the state of Georgia, especially after what they pulled yesterday underneath the Gold Dome.
Yeah, and I think you may be referring to that bill that they were trying to pass with the nonpartisan elections. Is that what you're talking about that?
No. This is when the Democrats walked out because the Republicans refused to pay for sex changes for people in prison. That's the heel.
And if I'm not mistaken, they walked out right before the vote, so they didn't even vote. I got to wonder how that leads into what they were elected to do, to be honest with you, if they're just not even going to vote at all. It seems like a weird play to make, but yeah, they walked out on it. It's really sad for
but of all
a party
bills
that claims to be for women, and yet they can't see that men competing in women's sports violates that.
Look at me looking at you. They don't know what women are. They still asking the questions. What is a woman? I mean, I thought Mr. Rogers told you what a woman was in the 80s. A boy is a boy and a girl is a girl.
And a boy stays a boy and a girl stays a girl. And he talked about how that's a question that kids ask, and we think it's funny, but it's a real thing. And he had no idea that so many years later that there would be adults asking that same question.
Wait a minute. They tried to actually counsel Mr. Rogers, what was it, 3 years ago, because that one show came up about him saying boy's a boy, girl's a girl. Then they wanted to counsel Mr. Rogers. I'm sitting here like, y'all have lost y'all ever-loving minds, just like the Democrats yesterday. Is that the hill y'all want to die on? It's not allowing men prisoners in prison to get sex change operations on Georgia taxpayers' dime. Not bringing down taxes, not fighting anything else. That is the hill y'all decided to walk out on is for transgenders in prison. So you like criminals, you like illegals, and you hate the state. So what are they there for?
Hey, I'm sometimes I can be a little savage, and I kind of feel like when they walked out, that would have been a really good opportunity to say, hey, everybody, time to do some votes on some other bills. What do y'all say? While they're gone.
Well, if you actually think about it, who holds the majority under the Gold Dome? We don't need them anyway. I would have slipped through that stuff, and I would have said no across the board, and I said, next vote, please. It would all be Republicans' favor since they got up and walked out. But people's like, you need to take their money. They don't make much.
Right.
So taking their money wouldn't have really did anything, but I would have pushed through everything at the very last minute and not waiting to sign or die.
That's right.
So what do you think of, so with Paulding County, one of the missions of the Republican Party, let me get this, tell y'all, everybody, is to get qualified Republicans elected into office. That is the whole meaning of it all. But now that we see the deterioration, not only of our nation, but also in our state, when it comes to a lot of different rights, a lot of different things, what are you going to look at as being that chairman to hold on the principles and the foundations of the Republican Party?
Yeah, so and it's interesting, too, because in Paulding, we don't really have a problem with Democrats running for positions. Now, city councils are nonpartisan here, so but as far as like chairman and our state officials, all Republicans. So what our typical battle is usually in the primaries. And so, what we want to do is we want to get good Republicans elected. That's the mission. Get good Republicans elected. But the key is when they are elected, because they ran as Republicans, they have to act as Republicans and write policy as Republicans. And I mean, the honest truth is if they don't, then they have to be replaced by somebody else.
You done started a whole hooping and hollering. You know that power structure and power grab is not going to sit down.
Yeah, and that can happen. I do think that there are good elected officials that do good Republican things, and I try to highlight those. And just becoming chairman for a few weeks now, I've been trying to make sure that on our party page that we highlight the good things that they do that are Republican. But if they don't do something that's right, that the people don't want, they need to know. Now, as chairman, it's not my job to tell people what to believe. It's to give them the information about what's going on and let the Republican citizens in Paulding County tell me what they think about it. And me tell the elected people, this is what the people are saying that they like or they don't like, or they would like for you to do or not do. And if they don't do that, and that's where the grassroots movement comes in, this large collective of people, if their voice is not being heard, ultimately that person gets fired and replaced, and somebody else gets hired in that position. We call those elections, and that's where that comes down. So during these next 2 years, my job is to inform our Republican voters what's going on, what are our elected doing, what do you want to see from them, because in a couple years, their election's going to come back up, and the people are going to know what happened.
Ooh, also teach them how to find stuff. Teach them how to vet people. That means they campaign contributions. Teach the Paulding County citizens how to go onto the Secretary of State, find out what they voted for. You could go into the Gold Dome and see what they sponsored, what they did not sponsor, what they said absent here or no. You can. Don't nobody teach this. There used to be a guy in Georgia. His name is Ken Young. He wrote the platform for the state of Georgia. He retired and is now living his life with his grandbabies. No one ever done. When I first got into the Republican Party over 15 years ago, he taught me everything. And he was the chairman of Barrow County Republicans. And he knew where the bodies was buried. He told me and showed me how to vet politicians, what I need to look for, and how not to get lied to. And he told me which websites to go and check these people out. So with you being in Paulding, you can literally look at every vote these people ever done, and it all needs to be held track. And then you can teach people how to vet great candidates, what they're looking for, and what is the responsibility of the grassroots, because we are the grassroots. And I always say the Republican Party head can't move without the neck, and we are the neck. So don't let the grassroots get kicked to the side.
No.
And teach, go back and teach. And I pray that out of the 159 counties that they choose you to mimic, and you be the one that's going to stand out there and really teach Georgia citizens how to be responsible voters, how to be responsible citizens, and how to really know who is right for our county or right for our state and who is not. And it's all going to be because of you, because you're finna bring back in the rule and the game of what it is being a Republican.
And I love what you're saying. I feel like we are of the same mind there of how important information is to get to the people, because I mean, knowledge is power. I mean, I know that's a cliche saying, but it's so true. Knowledge is power, and if people know, people can act. And I think that is what is going to transform this community and this country ultimately.
Well, you are a teacher. You're a teacher. You're a leader. You're a chairman. And since the Board of Education is literally throwing it back to the states, even though you're not in the education department, you still hold a lot of weight when it comes to Republican issues in the schooling. So with the Board of Education and more power is coming back to the states and the county, that is another way that you can make a great and a big impact when it comes to not only teaching elders, teaching adults, but now have you ever thought about having a young teen Republican? Because if Jesus knew the right from wrong at 12, then why can't our kids be taught the same thing at the age of 12? So maybe it's like a Premier League for Republicans. Bring your kids, bring your grandkids, and, get some coloring books with all the presidents, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the 5,000-year leap, and you're already sitting there and you're teaching these children as the young Republicans are going to be the mentors.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. And in fact, I think that there is like a children's book about Trump. I forget what it's called, but I've seen it. But yeah, I mean, definitely. And there's a lot to be said too about parental rights and making sure that parents are able to discern what their children are being taught in schools. I think there needs to be a lot of transparency on curriculum. I think parents should get to choose what their children are being taught. And that should not be up to somebody else. Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, ultimately they have to go to school and somebody is going to be teaching them, but we can be transparent about the curriculum to be sure of what they're being taught. And, you know, for our monthly GOP meetings, there's no reason that somebody can't bring their children. That we have some people that are teenagers that want to join and come by and see what's going on. And ultimately, I think that's great because the reality is that the next generation are the people that are going to lead.
Absolutely.
And they need to be taught early about good values and principles and about how the system works.
Well, if you're looking at the stats and you're paying attention to the stats, the most conservative groups of individuals, believe it or not, is Alpha and Z. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm a Gen Xer. Okay, we was raised by the best. We was raised not the flower child generation either. We was raised by our grandparents, those boomers. But
Yeah.
but Generation Z and Generation Alpha, which is our grandkids, because I have 9 grandbabies, and trust me, I talk politics with them because what
Yeah.
come out of their mouth is stupidity of what they learn in school. So I'll be like, "What the hell you learn that at?" "Oh, but sit down. I'm about to teach you." So since you're teaching the parents and the grandparents who comes to Republican meetings on a regular, now you got every reason to say, bring your kids, bring your grandkids, and we're
Yeah.
going to continue to lead them. Instead of a generational curse, we're leaving a generation legacy of knowing what's really going on in politics so they won't be bamboozled.
There's nothing that makes me happier when I go to city council meetings and I see young children in middle school coming by with their camera to say, I want to set up and film something that's going on. Or I see teenagers join their parents at the Capitol and they're just wanting to just see the process. To me, I think that's wonderful, and it makes me so happy to see people that want to get involved that are that young already.
You do know 40 minutes have flew by. I mean, literally 40 minutes have flew by, and you have 2 minutes and 6 seconds before Zoom say zoom, zoom. So I'm going to let you close this one out. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what I'm actually going to close out by doing is saying that if you don't mind, I'd like to pray for Miss
ahead.
Penny and the others. I think that's probably the most important thing. So, Jesus, I pray that you help Miss Penny, heal her. I know she's got more work to do here on earth. I pray you help Miss Amy, Jason, Miss Rowland, and all the others that have been following this show that want to lead a good life and spread the good word and good values, because they wouldn't be watching this show if they didn't want to have the knowledge and the information and the power to do good in this world. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Look, you don't got me. I'm a female. You can't be making females cry. It's just so everybody, y'all get over there and follow Rick. Hess is Hess is HESS. And sir, you can come by and come on the show at any time. Make sure next weekend you get up on that stage and you let. I said next weekend it's the 12th. This is this weekend. Next weekend is next. You know what? That's my husband. You're going to meet him too.
We have the same arguments in our house. It's fine.
So everybody, y'all stay tuned. Thank you so much, Rick. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh.